Chosen ones, you carry an energy that can't be explained, a divine spark that both intimidates and inspires those around you. There's something about your presence that confronts the falsehoods others cling to. They can't hide their egos when you step into the room because your light shines too brightly. It's like a mirror reflecting every insecurity and illusion they've built their identity upon. This is not by accident. You were created to shift atmospheres, to expose what is hidden, and to awaken those who are ready to embrace truth. But with this purpose comes resistance. When you challenge their ego-driven ways, some will admire you, but many will lash out, unable to face the spiritual reckoning you bring. This isn't about superiority or pride, it's about divine alignment. Your path is not an easy one, but it is a necessary one. Ego deaths aren't pretty, but they are transformative. The world needs people like you, spiritual OGs who stand firm in truth and refuse to compromise, even when the pressure is immense. And the best part? This is only the beginning of the change you're bringing. They hold onto their egos like a lifeline, convinced that their power, status, or influence defines their worth. But when you walk into their lives, everything changes. Your presence is like a storm, sweeping away the false sense of control they've built. You don't have to say a word. Your actions, your authenticity, and your connection to the divine speak volumes. To them, you seem untouchable. You don't play by their rules, and that terrifies them. The ego thrives on control, but you exist beyond their grasp. This isn't arrogance, it's freedom, the kind of freedom that comes from knowing who you are in God. And as they witness your unshakable spirit, something inside them begins to shift. At first, they resist. The ego doesn't die quietly. It fights back, clinging to old patterns and lies. But no matter how much they struggle, the truth you embody can't be ignored. It's not your words that break them. It's your unwavering light. The harder they try to assert their control, the more fragile their illusions become. What they don't realize is that this breaking down is a gift. When the illusions of control shatter, they are left with something far more valuable, the opportunity to see themselves as they truly are. But whether they embrace this truth or turn away is up to them. Yeshua's life was the ultimate demonstration of humility, a concept completely foreign to the ego-driven world. The ego thrives on self-preservation, power, and recognition, but Yeshua showed us a different path. Whoever wants to be great among you must be your servant. Matthew 20:26. These words flip the ego's narrative entirely, revealing that true greatness comes not from dominating others, but from serving them. When you walk in this humility, it sends shockwaves through the lives of those clinging to their pride. They've been conditioned to think that strength is in the ability to control, to dominate, to elevate oneself above others. But your life, like Yeshua's, exposes that strength comes from surrender. Surrender to God's will and purpose. The way Yeshua carried himself challenges the core of the ego. Imagine this: the Son of God, with all the power of heaven and earth at his command, chose to wash the feet of his disciples. This act of service wasn't weakness, it was the greatest demonstration of strength. It required no validation, no applause, only the pure divine love that flows from knowing who he truly was. When people encounter you, someone aligned with this same humility, their egos can't handle it. Your very presence becomes a mirror, reflecting their selfish ambitions and shallow pursuits. Some will recognize the truth and be drawn to it, seeking to understand how you move with such quiet authority. But others will resist, seeing your humility as a threat to their own pride. This resistance isn't personal, it's spiritual. The ego, when exposed, either begins the process of dying or doubles down in defense. But no matter how they respond, the seeds are planted. You are a living example of Yeshua's humility, showing them a better way, even if they're not ready to embrace it yet. The world is desperate for this kind of leadership, the kind that doesn't demand loyalty but inspires it. You are walking in a divine legacy, one that continues to challenge egos and change hearts. And as Yeshua's example showed us, the power of humility is one that cannot be ignored. You carry something most people are afraid to confront: truth. Not just surface-level truth, but the kind that cuts through the illusions people build their lives around. This truth isn't harsh or judgmental, it's liberating. But for those whose lives are built on ego, encountering truth is like staring into a mirror they've spent years avoiding. When they see you, they see something unshakable, something they can't manipulate or control. This terrifies them, not because of who you are, but because of what you represent. You represent authenticity, a life aligned with divine purpose, and a refusal to bow to the pressures of societal norms. The reflection you hold up forces them to see their insecurities, their fears, and their false identities. This process is not easy for them, and it often comes with resistance. They may lash out, criticize, or attempt to diminish you in some way. But their reaction has nothing to do with you. It's a defense mechanism of the ego. The more they push back, the more you know the truth is touching a nerve. The mirror you hold is not one of condemnation, but of possibility. It shows them not only what is false, but also what could be true. It reveals a version of themselves free from the chains of pride, fear, and insecurity. And while some will run from this vision, others will be drawn to it, seeking the freedom they see in you. This is why your role as a chosen one is so significant. You are not here to force change, but to embody it. Your life speaks louder than words, showing others what it looks like to live in alignment with divine truth. Whether they embrace the mirror or shatter it in fear, the image they see will remain with them, planting seeds of transformation. As you continue to hold up this mirror, remember that the truth is always more powerful than the lies it exposes. Even when the process is uncomfortable, it is necessary for those who are ready to see the light. The ego thrives on pride, building a fortress of accomplishments, status, and power to shield itself from vulnerability. But when you, a chosen one, step into their lives, you carry something the ego cannot withstand: grace. This grace isn't loud or confrontational. It's quiet, yet it has the power to dismantle the strongest walls of pride. They may not realize it at first, but your presence begins to challenge their foundations. It's not about what you say or do, it's about the way you live. The confidence you carry isn't rooted in worldly validation, but in divine assurance. This unshakable foundation threatens their sense of control. The more they try to assert their superiority, the more their insecurities come to light. Grace is a weapon the ego cannot fight. While pride demands recognition, grace offers acceptance without conditions. This is the heart of why it's so transformative. When people encounter you, they expect resistance or competition, but instead, they're met with a quiet, unwavering strength. This disarms them, forcing them to confront the emptiness of their pride-driven pursuits. However, this process is rarely smooth. For some, the exposure of their false pride feels like a threat. They might lash out or attempt to assert dominance over you, but these reactions are proof of the work happening beneath the surface. Their discomfort isn't about you. It's about the reflection of their own ego that your grace reveals. Even in the face of resistance, your grace remains steadfast. It is not your job to force them to change. That is a divine process. Your role is to live in such a way that they cannot deny the contrast between their pride and the freedom you embody. Whether they choose to let their pride shatter or cling to it is their decision, but the seed of transformation has been planted. As you continue to carry this grace, remember that it is not just for them, it is also for you. Grace keeps you aligned with your divine purpose, ensuring that no attack of pride or ego can shake your foundation. Yeshua's teachings offer profound insight into the nature of the ego and its need for redemption. He often spoke to the heart of the issue, bypassing surface-level behaviors to address the root of human pride. One of his most powerful statements, "Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted," Matthew 23:12, reveals a divine truth. The ego's quest for elevation leads to its own downfall. When you embody this principle, it unsettles those around you. The world operates on a system that rewards ego-driven behavior, ambition, competition, and self-promotion. But Yeshua's teachings challenge this system, and so do you. Your humility is not weakness, it's a reflection of your strength in God. This strength confronts the egos of others, exposing the cracks in their carefully constructed facades. Yeshua's interactions with the Pharisees provide a clear example of how he addressed the ego. The Pharisees, with their strict adherence to the law and desire for public recognition, represented the height of ego-driven religiosity. Yet Yeshua did not attack them directly. Instead, he revealed the truth through parables, questions, and acts of compassion. His approach was not about condemnation, but about offering a way out, a path to redemption through humility and faith. When you follow this example, you become a vessel for the same transformative power. Your life speaks louder than words, showing others that true strength lies in surrender to God. Some will resist, just as the Pharisees did, but others will see the truth and begin their own journey toward redemption. This process is not easy. Confronting the ego requires a willingness to let go of false identities and embrace vulnerability. For those who have built their lives around pride, this can feel like a death. But as Yeshua demonstrated, ego death is not the end. It is the beginning of a new life rooted in divine purpose. You are not only walking in Yeshua's teachings, but also embodying them. Through your actions, you offer others a glimpse of what it means to live free from the chains of ego, inviting them to experience the redemption that only He can provide. When you step into a room, your energy creates a shift. It's not something you do intentionally. It's simply the result of living in alignment with divine truth. For those around you, this shift can feel like a ripple in still waters, unsettling and undeniable. But what they don't realize is that this ripple effect is the beginning of something much greater, a spiritual awakening. Your presence has a way of pulling back the veil, exposing the illusions people live under. For some, this is liberating. They see in you the possibility of a life free from fear, pride, and insecurity, and they're inspired to seek the same. But for others, this awakening is uncomfortable. The ego resists change, clinging to its old ways, even as the truth begins to surface. This ripple effect doesn't just impact individuals, it spreads to entire environments. Your words, actions, and even your silence carry the weight of divine purpose. It's as if you carry a torch into a dark room, and suddenly the shadows have nowhere to hide. This light reveals not only the flaws in others, but also the potential for transformation. However, not everyone is ready for this awakening. Some will see your light as a threat and react with hostility. They may try to dim your influence or discredit your message, but their resistance only highlights the power you carry. The ripple effect you create cannot be stopped because it's not your doing. It's God working through you. Over time, the seeds you plant begin to grow. Even those who resist cannot forget the truth they've encountered. The ripple you create may start small, but it has the potential to become a wave, transforming lives in ways you may never fully see. Your role is to remain steadfast, trusting that the work you're doing is part of a much larger divine plan. This is just the beginning. The ripple you've started will continue to expand, touching lives far beyond what you can imagine. Your light shines brightly, and while some are drawn to it, others are deeply unsettled. The ego thrives in darkness, where illusions of control and power can go unchecked. But your presence brings light, and with it, the undeniable truth that cannot be ignored. For those clinging to their egos, this light feels threatening, and their fear often manifests as resistance. At first, their fear may not be obvious. It might appear as subtle criticisms, passive-aggressive remarks, or attempts to undermine your confidence. But as time goes on, their resistance becomes more pronounced. They may lash out, project their insecurities onto you, or try to diminish your impact. This isn't because of anything you've done wrong, it's because your light exposes the truth they're not ready to face. The Bible reminds us, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. This is the key to understanding their fear. Your light cannot be overcome because it is not rooted in human strength, but in divine power. No matter how much they resist, the truth remains, shining brightly and revealing what they've tried to hide. This fear is not entirely negative. In fact, it's often the first step toward transformation. When the ego is confronted by light, it begins to unravel. For some, this unraveling leads to humility and a willingness to change. For others, it leads to further resistance. But either way, the process has begun, and the light you bring cannot be ignored. Your role is not to force them to accept the truth, but to continue shining. Even when their fear manifests as hostility, your light is doing its work. It's planting seeds of awareness that may take time to grow. And for those who are ready, your presence becomes a beacon, guiding them toward the freedom they've been searching for. Remember, their fear of your light is not about you. It's about the truth you carry. Stay firm in your purpose, knowing that your light is part of a much greater plan. When Yeshua walked the earth, his mission was not to condemn, but to transform. He carried the power to expose falsehoods and shatter egos, yet he always did so with the intention of leading people toward redemption. I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance. Luke 5:32. This profound statement reveals his heart. The goal is not destruction, but renewal. As a chosen one, you embody this same calling. Your presence doesn't just challenge egos, it offers the opportunity for transformation. When people encounter you, they're faced with a choice: cling to their pride or step into the light of truth. Yeshua's example shows us that this choice is never forced. Instead, it's presented through grace, patience, and unwavering authenticity. You may find that some people are drawn to you without fully understanding why. They sense something different, something pure and unshakable. This is the divine working through you, drawing them closer to the truth. But transformation is rarely immediate. Just as Yeshua patiently walked alongside those who doubted or resisted, you are called to do the same. It's important to remember that not everyone is ready for this transformation. The Pharisees, for example, were so entrenched in their ego-driven systems that they rejected Yeshua's message entirely. Yet even in their rejection, the seeds of truth were planted. In the same way, your light may be resisted by some, but that doesn't mean your impact is diminished. Yeshua's approach to transformation was rooted in love. He didn't confront egos with harshness, but with the kind of love that reveals the emptiness of pride. When you carry this love into your interactions, it disarms even the most resistant hearts. Your role is not to force change, but to be a vessel through which God's love and truth can flow. Transformation is a process, and not everyone will respond in the same way. But as Yeshua demonstrated, the effort is never wasted. Even the smallest encounter can plant a seed that leads to profound change. You are part of this divine process, called to shine your light and trust that God will do the rest. The process of ego death is painful, but it is also the doorway to something far greater: spiritual rebirth. When the illusions of pride, control, and self-reliance are stripped away, what remains is the raw, authentic self, ready to be reshaped by divine hands. The Bible reminds us, therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come. The old has gone, the new is here. 2 Corinthians 5:17. For those who resist this process, encountering your light can feel like a battle. Their egos fight to survive, clinging to the false identities they've built. But for those who are ready, the death of the ego becomes the beginning of a new life. You play a pivotal role in this transformation, not by forcing it, but by showing what is possible through your own example. Spiritual rebirth is not a one-time event, it's a journey. The people who encounter you may start this journey in fear and resistance, but as the layers of their ego are stripped away, they begin to see the truth. The pain of letting go is replaced by the peace of living authentically. They realize that the false security their egos provided was nothing compared to the freedom found in surrendering to God. Your role in this process is to hold space for their transformation. You may not see the full fruits of your impact, but trust that the seeds you plant are growing. Every time you reflect God's love, humility, and strength, you are showing them the path to spiritual rebirth. This transformation isn't just about them, it's also about you. As you witness the power of God working through you, your own faith is strengthened. You begin to see that even the most resistant hearts can be changed. And this inspires you to keep walking in your purpose. Ego death is not the end. It's the beginning of a life filled with divine purpose. For those who are willing to embrace it, the journey leads to a freedom and joy that cannot be found anywhere else. And you, chosen one, are a guide on this path, shining a light that others can follow. The journey you've walked, chosen one, has prepared you to be more than just a messenger. You are now a beacon of divine truth. Your presence radiates authenticity, courage, and unwavering faith, all of which stand in stark contrast to the falsehoods of the ego-driven world. The process you've endured, of being tested, refined, and strengthened, has brought you to a place where you no longer simply speak truth, you embody it. When people encounter you, they see someone who has walked through the fire and emerged unscathed, stronger, and more aligned with God's purpose. This transformation wasn't just for you. It was also for those who are watching. They see your light and begin to question their own shadows. They see your strength and begin to wonder what it is that sustains you. Walking as a beacon of divine truth means carrying the responsibility of being a guide. You didn't choose this path. It was chosen for you. But with it comes a profound sense of purpose. You are not just surviving, you are thriving, and in doing so, you show others what is possible when they let go of their egos and embrace God's plan. Your journey has shown you that truth isn't always comfortable. It challenges, disrupts, and often causes conflict, but it also liberates. The light you carry doesn't just expose falsehoods, it also illuminates the path forward. For those who are ready, your presence becomes a source of hope. For those who resist, it becomes a reminder of the truth they can no longer avoid. This is the legacy you are building. Every step you take, every word you speak, every action you perform reflects the divine truth that now defines you. You are no longer concerned with the opinions of others because you walk in alignment with something greater. This freedom is what draws people to you, and it's what allows you to impact lives in ways you may never fully see. As a beacon, you are a reminder that transformation is possible. Your life is living proof that the death of the ego is not the end, but the beginning of a journey toward purpose, freedom, and divine connection. The work you've done, the battles you've fought, and the truth you've carried have not been in vain. You are a vessel of God's glory, and your light will continue to shine, inspiring others to step into the truth of who they were created to be. But even as you walk in this light, remember that the journey isn't over. The calling on your life will continue to evolve, and with it, your influence will grow. Stay faithful, chosen one, because this is just the beginning of what God is about to do through you.
Chosen ones, if you enjoy our videos and would like to support our channel, feel free to buy us a coffee. The link will be in the description below. Thanks for watching and have a blessed day.